this massive underground tunnel system going down 3 levels.
These underground spaces underneath each house were known to people, and they were using it for storage because it's quite cold. But what they didn't know is that they were all connected.
For generations, residents in parts of southeastern Turkey knew there were underground spaces beneath their homes. They used them for storage, taking advantage of the naturally cool temperatures. What they did not realize was that these spaces were not isolated. They were connected, forming vast, deliberately engineered complexes sealed off for nearly 3 millennia. Archaeologists working across Turkey have now broken through stone barriers that had remained untouched since the Bronze Age. What they have uncovered is forcing a reassessment of what ancient societies in this region were capable of building, organizing, and preserving. At multiple sites, excavation teams have entered chambers that were closed more than 2,800 years ago, revealing interiors so intact they appear frozen in time.
Check this out. There's something in here.
Curious about the newly uncovered underground city, it all started when a small cave was discovered 2 years ago while old houses nearby were being restored. They believe it could be the largest underground city in Turkey.
One of the most striking examples is the royal tomb at Gordion. Inside, researchers found dozens of bronze vessels still hanging from iron nails on the walls, positioned exactly where they were placed nearly 28 centuries ago. These were not scattered remains or disturbed fragments. They were cauldrons, incense burners, and ceremonial jugs arranged with clear intention, suggesting carefully planned burial rites rather than hurried interment. Beneath the town of Midyat, the scale becomes even more difficult to comprehend. Excavation teams have identified an underground city spanning close to 900,000 square meters. So far, around 50 rooms have been cleared and more than 120 meters of tunnels mapped. Yet ground-penetrating surveys indicate that this represents only a small fraction of the entire complex. What lies below is not a natural cave system, but a purpose-built underground environment with multiple levels, rolling stone doors, and passages carved with remarkable precision. These structures challenge long-standing assumptions about early engineering. The complexes include ventilation shafts that still function, drainage systems designed to manage water flow, and defensive features that suggest strategic planning. The stonework bears tool marks consistent with advanced techniques, not crude excavation. These were spaces designed for long-term use, not temporary shelter. What has drawn particular attention among researchers is the level of preservation. Many chambers show no signs of water damage, animal intrusion, or human disturbance. Organic materials that would normally decay have survived intact. In some sealed rooms, wood remains solid, fabrics retain their structure, and metal objects show minimal corrosion. The conditions resemble a sealed archive rather than an archaeological ruin. At Gordion, when excavators finally opened the burial chamber, they encountered wooden beams that had not rotted or collapsed despite the passage of nearly 3,000 years. The absence of contamination suggests that whoever sealed the tomb understood, deliberately or intuitively, how to create an environment capable of preserving its contents for millennia. Midyat tells a parallel story. The underground chambers there display mathematical regularity in their layout, with consistent ceiling heights, carefully aligned corridors, and structural supports that distribute weight efficiently through the rock. Some walls carry faint inscriptions that are now being examined using advanced imaging and artificial intelligence systems capable of detecting and interpreting markings invisible to the naked eye. These inscriptions raise new questions. Preliminary analysis suggests that some markings may predate known writing systems associated with the Hittites. If confirmed, this would push back established timelines for literacy in the region and point to cultural traditions that existed before what is currently recognized as recorded history. Turkey occupies a critical position in human history. It sits at the crossroads of early human migration from Africa into Europe. Genetic studies have already shown that ancient Anatolian populations contributed significantly to the ancestry of modern Europeans. The sealed environments found beneath Turkish towns now raise the possibility that well-preserved human remains could provide genetic evidence of populations not yet documented. Archaeologists have seen this before on a much smaller scale. In Siberia, a single tooth and fragment of bone revealed the Denisovans, an entirely unknown branch of humanity. The preservation conditions in Turkey's sealed chambers are far more extensive. If DNA is recovered from these sites, it could fundamentally alter our understanding of who lived here and how human societies developed. The artifacts themselves add another layer of complexity. In the Gordion tomb, the bronze vessels show signs of use prior to burial, indicating ritual activity rather than symbolic placement. Some pieces display motifs that do not match established Phrygian or Hittite iconography, when objects do not fit neatly into known categories. Archaeologists proceed cautiously, often delaying detailed publication until exhaustive analysis can be completed. This caution is not unusual. History offers examples of discoveries that sat unexamined for decades because they appeared too advanced for their supposed time. When evidence challenges established chronologies, the process of verification becomes slow and methodical, sometimes giving the impression of silence. Geology may help explain both the preservation and the motivation behind these underground constructions. Turkey lies along one of the world's most active fault systems. Earthquakes, volcanic activity, and ash deposits have shaped the region for millions of years. These same conditions can create sealed environments ideal for long-term preservation. In some caves, geological layers show signs of extreme heat exposure, possibly linked to ancient natural disasters such as meteor impacts or intense solar events. Ancient texts from the region describe fire falling from the sky and gods punishing humanity from above. Greek traditions placed entrances to the underworld in Anatolia. Hittite writings speak of sealed stone doors and multi-level descents into realms associated with death. As archaeologists uncover underground complexes with sealed doors and descending passages, the parallels between mythology and physical evidence become harder to ignore. Religious traditions that emerged in this region continue to shape the modern world. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all trace foundational narratives to Anatolia and its surroundings. If sealed chambers contain texts or ritual objects that predate established religious timelines, the implications would extend far beyond archaeology. The human dimension of these discoveries is equally significant. Underground cities capable of housing tens of thousands of people suggest societies prepared to live below the surface for extended periods. These were not emergency shelters. They were fully functional urban environments with storage facilities, meeting spaces, stables, and places of worship. The engineering required to sustain life underground on this scale reflects social organization and technical knowledge that have long been underestimated. The scope of what remains undiscovered is vast. Remote sensing has identified dozens of underground voids across Anatolia that rival or exceed the size of known sites like Derinkuyu and Midyat. Thousands of caves have been documented, yet many have never been systematically explored. Each new excavation begins with a single chamber and often expands into an interconnected network far larger than expected. What emerges from these findings is a consistent pattern. Sealed underground spaces across Turkey were deliberately constructed, carefully closed, and preserved with extraordinary effectiveness. They span thousands of years and multiple cultures, suggesting a shared understanding of how to protect people, objects, and knowledge from both human interference and natural decay. These discoveries do not simply add details to existing history. They force a broader reconsideration of ancient capabilities. The evidence points to advanced engineering, complex social planning, and a sophisticated relationship with the environment. Far from being primitive, the people who built these underground worlds demonstrated foresight and technical skill on a remarkable scale. As more sealed chambers are identified and prepared for excavation, the potential for transformative discoveries grows. Perfect preservation conditions mean that organic materials, written records, and biological evidence may still be waiting untouched since antiquity. When those doors open, they may reveal chapters of human history that have been silent for thousands of years, reminding us that much of our past remains hidden beneath our feet, waiting to be understood.